Hello, Mr. Smith, how are you?
Good. How are you doing, Jim?
Good. Oh, good. I forgot to bring a pen. Maybe they have one for me.
Okay, let me see how I do.
Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Pinetop-Lakeside Town Council to order. We do have a quorum. Councilor Heisler is on the phone with us this evening. He's fighting fires in Wyoming. Councilor Phillips and Vice Mayor Buse are out of town. I would ask that you make sure your cell phones are on silent, please, before we get started. And please stand, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Keith?
Our Heavenly Father, we do humbly come before Thee this evening to thank Thee for Thy many blessings upon us individually and as a community. We're thankful to be able to live in such a beautiful area here in Arizona, among the mountains and the pines and the lakes and the streams. We pray for rain, that we may be able to preserve our forests and our homes. We ask Thee to bless our emergency responders and their families, bless them and protect them as they serve our community. We ask Thy Spirit be with us this night in the matters that we'll be discussing. We pray for Thy wisdom, Thy inspiration, and Thy guidance in the decisions that we'll make. We're grateful for all of our citizens and our businesses. We pray for Thy blessings upon them too, that they may be successful. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Keith. Call to the public. This is a business meeting of the Town Council. The town values and welcomes public input. Please address the council as a whole and not individual council members. Do not address staff or members of the audience. Council action on items brought up in call to the public is limited by the open meeting law. Council may direct staff to study the matter and reschedule for further consideration at a later date. Items on the agenda will not be heard during call to the public, and individuals are limited to 3 minutes. I have one request for call to the public. If anybody else wants to speak, if you guys could fill out one of these forms and bring it up to Christy. Before we start that, I would just like to say last week 4 council members attended the League of Arizona Cities and Towns annual conference in Phoenix, and 2 of our council members were honored for 8 years of service to our community. Councilor Smith was there to accept his. Councilor Snitzer was not, so we brought it back to him. And I would just like to present this to him tonight and thank him and Councilor Smith both for their years of service to the town of Pinetop-Lakeside. We appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to call up Anik. And when you get up here, would you please pronounce your last name for me? Come on up to the podium. I don't want to butcher it.
My name is Anik Demön. The S's are silent. And I'm a resident of Lakeside. I live at 1348 West Apache Lane. I submitted a petition on Tuesday to the town regarding the increased traffic and the speeding vehicles on our street. And I'm sure this is the case probably in the entire neighborhood, including the streets you live on. So I would like to take this time, if you don't mind, to read the petition to you. As residents of West Apache Lane in Lakeside, Arizona, we have a serious concern for our safety, the safety of our children, family members and pets, pedestrians and bicycle riders on our residential streets. There are many vehicles that drive 40 to 50 miles an hour in our neighborhood, including commercial ones, even though the speed limit is 25 miles an hour. The traffic on our street has significantly increased due to primarily drivers who take Apache Lane as a shortcut to reach the stores such as Safeway and Ace Hardware on Highway 260. Furthermore, speeding drivers drive through the stop sign at the junction of Claudia Lane and Apache Lane at break-necking speed and don't bother to stop. This issue has been repeatedly brought to the attention of the town of Pinetop-Lakeside by various residents. However, we haven't seen any permanent remedy. The speed limit on our street is the same as Woodland Road, a major thoroughfare. We would like to request that the speed limit on our street be lowered to 20 or 15 miles an hour. According to data from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, speed-related crashes cost Americans $40.4 billion each year. Moreover, neighborhoods that have implemented traffic calming measures have seen reductions in vehicle speed, crash frequency, and injuries. We urge you to implement effective and permanent traffic calming measures within our neighborhood, such as, for example, speed bumps, police officers regularly monitoring vehicle speeds, mobile photo radar, or any other measure that will reduce vehicle speed without impeding access. Our lives and the lives of our children are precious. Our children deserve to live on a safe street where they can play and ride their bikes without fear of being run over by a speeding vehicle. I got about 39 signatures from my neighbors for this petition, and in speaking to them, I have heard a lot of stories, including one mother of 5 small children who moved on our street in 2019 and no longer allows her children to ride their bicycles on our street. We have neighbors that are 88 and 86 years old that walk every day. I don't know how much or...
Your time is up. If you just want to finish your thought, go ahead and finish your thought.
I want to thank Commander Wilkie because he responded promptly to my request for immediate action. And I also talked to Chief Barnes, who indicated that he will do he'll instigate through Public Works a traffic safety study. So I look forward to a solution, a permanent solution to our dilemma here. And thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you for bringing this to our attention and all your efforts on behalf of your neighbors, Anik. Our Public Works Director just informed me that he is getting quotes on a traffic study where we will get all the true data and figure out what we can do there.
Great.
So thank you.
Thank you so much.
If you have other questions or if any of the neighbors do, they can call Public Works. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't believe, I'm sorry, yes.
Could I make a comment to her?
Sure.
I thank you so much for coming with that problem. I have spoken with the fire department about, you mentioned calming measures, speed bumps. And it's difficult for the fire department with the speed bumps. So I think we need to keep that in mind. But I know we've had a problem with that corner. And I've even trimmed the trees that hide the stop sign across from Chris's property. And I know it's a problem there. I always stop, but it is. And thank you for... Oh, no.
Anyway, I'm sure Matt's guys will get out there and get that fixed as soon as possible. So again, thank you, Anik and Matt. Thank you. So we'll move on then to item C, which is our consent agenda. All items listed are considered routine matters and will be enacted by one motion of the council. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of town council requests that an item or items be removed. Council members may ask questions without removal of the items from the consent agenda. Items removed are heard in their normal sequence unless called out of sequence. As you can see, we have 3 routine items on our consent agenda. Are there any questions from the council? Councilor Smith?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Councilor Heisler?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries unanimously. Item D is business before the council. Public comment will be taken at the beginning of each agenda item after the subject has been announced by the mayor and explained by staff. Any citizen who wishes may speak one time for 5 minutes on each agenda item before or after council discussion. Questions from council members, however, may be directed to staff or a member of the public through the mayor at any time. Our first item is D1, Pinetop-Lakeside Proclamation of Apache Trout Day, September 5th, 2024. Councillor Krigbaum.
Thank you, Mayor. This proclamation is about Apache Trout Day, September 5th, 2024. Whereas our neighbors, the White Mountain Apache tribe, in 1955, with great foresight and in keeping with the Apache philosophy that recognizes that the Fort Apache Indian Reservation provides a safe haven to many species of plants and wildlife that must be protected and managed for future generations. Set forth protections for the last remaining streams on the reservation harboring pure Apache trout populations. And whereas Apache trout are only found in the White Mountains of Arizona and have been designated the state fish of Arizona. And whereas Apache trout are an integral part of the local ecosystem and are a highly prized sport fish for people residing in and traveling to the White Mountains. And whereas the citizens of the town of Pinetop-Lakeside highly value the outdoors and the fish, animals, plants of the White Mountains and have a long history of caring for the environment. And whereas Apache trout have been on the Endangered Species Act Federal Threatened and Endangered Species List as a threatened species since 1974. But because of the dedicated work of staff from the White Mountain Apache Tribe, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Arizona Game and Fish Department, U.S. Forest Service, Trout Unlimited, and others, many of whom live in the White Mountains, Apache trout have been managed to a level where they are no longer warranting being kept on the list and are now considered recovered as a species. And whereas Apache trout are considered a recovered species and to be taken off the Endangered Species Act, Federal Threatened and Endangered Species List, by order of a Federal Register notice on September 5th, 2024. Now, therefore, I, for Stephanie Irwin, Mayor of Pinetop-Lakeside, hereby proclaims September 5th, 2024 as Apache Trout Day in the town of Pinetop-Lakeside and call upon the American public to join us in recognizing the importance of Apache trout and the conservation of their habitat throughout the White Mountains. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the town of Pinetop-Lakeside, Arizona. Done in Town Hall this 5th day of September, 2024.
Thank you, Councillor Krigbaum, and congratulations to all the folks that made this happen. I've been in contact with a gentleman from U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and they had an event at Holly Lake today. Unfortunately, we got really late notice on that and couldn't attend, but they were all up here celebrating. So it is quite an accomplishment for our region. We'll move on then to item D2, which is Town of Pinetop-Lakeside Proclamation of National Preparedness Month, September 2024. Councillor Smith.
A proclamation, whereas Navajo County and the town of Pinetop-Lakeside residents have experienced severe weather, floods, wildfires, communication outages, and public health emergencies, which can interrupt lives, damage property and infrastructure, and threaten the safety of all Navajo County residents. And whereas California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and several other states are currently fighting multiple fires that are prompting evacuations, causing power outages, and impacting air quality with heavy smoke. In addition to supporting these firefighting efforts, we encourage personal preparedness for those who may be impacted by wildfire activity. And whereas all town of Pinetop-Lakeside citizens are encouraged to prepare for disasters by 1, developing a family communication plan, 2, building an emergency kit, 3, learning the hazards of your community, 4, knowing your way out, develop an evacuation plan. 5, create defensive zones around your homes. And 6, firewise your property. And whereas Navajo County citizens are encouraged to sign up for the Ready Navajo County Emergency Alerting System and follow the 3 principles of Ready, Set, Go program, be ready year-round for any emergency by preparing now for what threatens your community. Be set by maintaining awareness of significant danger, and go. Evacuate immediately when danger is imminent and life-threatening. And whereas the Town Council of the Town of Pinetop-Lakeside would like to officially recognize the hard work and dedication of all those involved in ensuring the safety of our citizens and their property, businesses, and communities, including first responders, volunteers, non-governmental agencies, and most of all, the citizens themselves. Now, therefore, I, Stephanie Irwin, Mayor of the Town of Pinetop-Lakeside, do hereby proclaim September as National Preparedness Month 2024 in the Town of Pinetop-Lakeside. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the Town of Pinetop-Lakeside, done at Town Hall this 5th day of September 2024.
Thank you, Councilor Smith. Item D3 is Town of Pinetop-Lakeside Proclamation, National 9/11 Patriot Day, a day of service and remembrance. Whereas through the twisted steel of the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center, the scarred walls of the Pentagon, and the smoky wreckage in a field in southwest Pennsylvania, the patriotism and resiliency of the American people shone brightly on September 11th, 2001. We stood as one people, united in our common humanity and shared sorrow. We grieved for those who perished and remember what brought us together as Americans. And whereas today we honor the lives we lost 23 years ago, on a bright September day, innocent men, women, and children boarded planes or set off for work as they had done so many times before. Unthinkable acts of terrorism brought tragedy, destruction, pain, and loss for people across our nation and the world. And whereas as we pay tribute to loved ones, friends, fellow citizens, and all who died, we reaffirm our commitment to the ideas and ideals that unite Americans in the aftermath of the attacks. We must defend against all threats to our national security. We must also recommit ourselves to our founding principles. September 11th reminds us that our fate as individuals is tied to that of our nation. Our democracy is strengthened when we uphold the freedoms upon which our nation was built: equality, justice, liberty, and democracy. These values exemplify the patriotism and sacrifice we commemorate today. And whereas in that same spirit of patriotism, I call upon our citizens, churches, and businesses to join in acts of service and honor the lives we lost, the heroes who responded in our hour of need, and the brave men and women in uniform who continue to protect our country at home and abroad. And whereas the Town of Pinetop-Lakeside recognizes September 11th as Patriot Day, a national day of service and remembrance, originated by the family members of those who lost loved ones on 9/11, the National Day of Service and Remembrance is an opportunity to salute the heroes of 9/11, recapture the spirit of unity and compassion that inspired our nation following the attacks, and rededicate ourselves to sustained service within our communities. Now, therefore, I, Stephanie Irwin, Mayor of the Town of Pinetop-Lakeside, do hereby proclaim September 11th, 2024, as National 9/11 Patriot Day, a day of service and remembrance in the Town of Pinetop-Lakeside. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the Town of Pinetop-Lakeside, Arizona, done at Town Hall on this 5th day of September 2024. I would also like to let everybody know that the Fishers of Men are going to be installing 100 flags at the Jack Barker Park tomorrow. We have a number of town staff members, council members, and other volunteers that are going to be out there helping them at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. And it's always, in my mind, a very inspiring sight to see all those flags blowing in the wind. On September 11th, next week, our Council, in conjunction with Rotary, town staff, and other members of the public, will be doing a highway cleanup. And the VFW will be having a flag ceremony at 11 o'clock here at the memorial. So I would encourage anybody and everybody to come out to that event. They're not very long. It doesn't take much time out of your day, but they are very, very inspiring. So thank you.
Mayor Irwin,
Yes.
there's also the story walk around the lake.
Oh, thank you. Would you fill us in a little more on that?
Sure. Two citizens of Pinetop-Lakeside put together 24 slides that are on the story walk around Woodland Lake Park, and it offers the timeline of the events of that day. So we just encourage everybody to take a walk and read the timeline.
And we appreciate those citizens who came to us with that idea. Yeah, thank you, Keith. Item D4 on our agenda is consideration of resolution number 24-1735, approving a grant award from the Arizona Governor's Office of Highway Safety. Commander Wilkie?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The Police Department comes before you today to request permission to receive and spend a grant from the Governor's Office of Highway Safety. As I'm sure you're all aware, this is an ongoing relationship that we have with them. So in about March of this year, we put in for another grant. This year, it's going to be more focused on driving under the influence. So we're going to be enforcing keeping impaired drivers off the road. And we've just found out a couple weeks ago that we were awarded the grant for $4,000 for overtime to spend on DUI enforcement. Most of that will go towards holiday weekends to get more officers on the road looking for those kind of violations.
Okay, thank you, Commander. Are there any questions?
Nope.
No? Counselor
Make a
Smith?
motion? Yes. I move to adopt resolution number 24-1735, approving a 2025 grant award from the Arizona Governor's Office of Highway Safety contract number 2025-Roman numeral 2-005, and authorize Chief of Police Dan Barnes as agent and/or his designee for the town of Pinetop-Lakeside to conduct all negotiations and to execute and submit all documents and any other necessary or desirable instruments in connection with this grant.
Thank you. A second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a motion, a second. Is there further discussion? All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Counselor Heisler?
Aye.
Thank you. That passes unanimously. Thank you for that one. Item D5 is consideration of resolution number 24-1736, approving the purchase of 2 Ford Police Interceptor vehicles with police equipment. Commander Wilkie.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. During the budget talks, we had talked about getting 2 new vehicles for the police department. We have a pretty good fleet, but some of the vehicles are aging out and miling out. So during that process, it was approved for 2 new vehicles. Our usual problem is actually finding the vehicles. We were able to find some vehicles in stock in the state, so we got quotes on those. And although they are police vehicles that are already equipped to be police vehicles, we have an upfitting cost that goes with that. That was all considered during the budget. So we have 2 vehicles that we'd like to purchase this budget year that come out to $136,309.83, which is pretty close to what we actually estimated during the budget process.
Thank you, Commander. Are there any questions, comments?
No, good. I'd just say good job within like $800 of that 135,000. Good job, everybody.
And luck in finding them. Yes. Anyway, I would entertain a motion then. Counselor Smith?
I move to adopt resolution number 24-1736, approving the purchase of 2 Ford Police Interceptor vehicles from Peoria Ford, financing through Ford Credit Municipal Finance in an amount not to exceed $136,309.83, plus applicable taxes, and authorize the town manager to execute all documents necessary to complete this transaction.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion, a second. Is there further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Thank you. Counselor Heisler?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries unanimously. Thank you, Commander. Appreciate your work. Item D6 is a presentation and discussion of an inclusive playground. Madison Olson, our engineering technician, will present this one to us.
Good evening. My name is Madison Olson. I'm an engineering technician at Public Works, and I'll be presenting information on an inclusive playground. Here we go. All right. So I'm just gonna introduce the project team, the design and funding thus far. So it began with Andrea Woolridge, who's a pediatric physical therapist for Blue Ridge, Navajo, and Apache counties, and director and treasurer of the Blue Ridge Student Foundation. She is very passionate, and she's already done a lot of this work that I'm going to present to you. So in her words, this is a project near and dear to her heart, as she is a pediatric physical therapist. She works with toddlers and kids, infants, toddlers, and school-aged children. And to be honest, our playgrounds are not physically accessible to many of the children that she works with. So she does go to Show Low, Snowflake, Taylor, and Eager to perform her physical therapy work with these children. The Blue Ridge School District has 248 students who require and receive special education services, and 150 clients are for the southern Navajo County. And there are many children who are also homeschooled who may not be able to access these playgrounds due to lack of inclusiveness in the design. In the spirit of inclusion, we would also be remiss to leave out the family members of any age who also have a physical, cognitive, or mental disability because they cannot access a playground with their families and friends. They sit and watch on the sidelines. These folks who would benefit from an inclusive playground just as much as the children would. And that, I believe, was in an email to the mayor. So she brought with her Carissa Thompson. And Carissa Thompson is from AZ Recreation Design and was highly recommended by Champus Johnson at the City of Show Low, who was the engineering project manager for Show Low's inclusive playground. AZ Rec is a state bid contractor, and Carissa has since completed inclusive playground training, and the design fee has been waived with AZ Rec. So that's why we've gotten this far. She has a preliminary design that she has provided so we can start the grant application process. The inclusive playground elements that are in, that she's incorporated are listed here. But I think if we scroll through the pictures, you might see them a little bit better. So she did meet with us at Public Works, and we decided that if this playground were to be funded, the best location at this point would be at Mountain Meadows due to the existing ADA access that's already there and the parking lots. So here's a view. You can see the whole thing is covered with a port and play surface, which is the #1 inclusive element. And then after that, there are 2 ramps that provide access to the top of the play structure for wheelchairs. There's also, if you can see on the right side, a rolling slide and a roller slide. And a roller slide for anyone with a cochlear implant, they can't do or slide down plastic slides because of the static electricity. It will damage their cochlear implant. So the surface, the ramps, the roller slide. There's also in the right corner different displays. There's a quiet grove. There's a weather station. These are all ground level elements that are also which makes them more inclusive. And then here in the middle, there's a bridge, and then right next to it, there's a ramp. So someone on a wheelchair can use the ramp, and there's what they call parallel play. They want to incorporate as much parallel play into the playground as possible. And then on the left side, there's called a wobble sphere, and they recommend a wobble sphere. It's the environment is good for anyone who's autistic. It makes them feel safe. So that was another element. And then also on the left-hand side, there's a ground level fruit stand and ticket booth and right next to like a drama theater. And then the existing ramada is put central into the playground, so caregivers and parents have line of sight at all times. Let's see. Yeah, here's the drama theater and then the ticket booth. The quiet grove here next to the ramp, and then there's a better view of the roller slide, and weather station is in red. These are all panels that provide additional sensory activities for inclusive playgrounds. And let's see if there's anything else here. The shade structures are designed to be taken down in the winter, so they are preserved and they don't have to bear the weight of the snow. And all right, so now project funding. At this point, Andrea has already made a lot of connections, and she's spoken with, or she's applied for a Sparklight grant for $7,000. She's spoken with the White Mountain Autism Foundation, who would also like a presentation on September 10th. And the White Mountain Association of Realtors have been contacted, who have grants in the increments of $10,000. And if we decide to move forward with this project, we can the town can look into the Arizona State Parks and Trails Land and Water Conservation Fund for more funding for this project. And that's all I have.
That's amazing, Madison. Thank you. Any questions or comments for Madison?
Very impressive.
Very impressive.
So much done and planned and
I have
moving
to
ahead.
give all the credit to Andrea. Yeah, she did it all.
Yeah, she's been very excited about this. So thank you for your time tonight. We appreciate it. Okay. We move on then to item D7, which is presentation and discussion of the collection center and recycling. I'd like to invite Damian Zachman to come up. Welcome.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good.
All right, so I was asked to, so my name's Damian Zachman. I'm the Pinetop-Lakeside Collection Center manager. We've been having a lot of questions about where the trash goes, what we do with it, kind of how it works. So I kind of put together a presentation to show kind of an update of what we've been up to, as well as one of the biggest questions, where the trash goes, because we get a lot of questions about like, are you sure it goes here and there? So yeah, let's see how this goes. There we go. So that's me. My name's Damian. A little background of mine. I was at I got started here in January 2023, and before that I was at the City of Mesa for almost 7 years doing side load in the solid waste department over there. And so I know a little bit about trash. I've worked a lot of recycling stuff with the MRF, close with them over in Scottsdale at the Salt River Center. And yeah, so I thought this was a pretty good fit when I came to town. We moved here a couple of years ago, and I thought this was kind of right up my alley. So we've been up to doing some good stuff, trying to obviously save money because there's not a ton of money in it, but we're trying to work with what we got, and we're trying to keep the forests beautiful and keep the trash to the landfill and the recycling to the recycling centers. So here's the other people that I work with is David. He's been there a long time. Most people, really great guy. Everyone loves being around him. He's at the center with us as well. And then we got Ken. He's also with us. He's our part-time guy. So you'll be seeing either one of those three faces if you guys come in the center. Here's kind of a gist of what we take. We have 8 commodities on site. And of the 8 commodities, only one of those actually goes to the landfill, which is like your household trash. The other 7 are all recycled in some way, shape, or form. So I think that's really cool. And we've had a lot of insights. I'm on a board with Circular Arizona, and we just, Mayor Irwin was there. We just had a Northwest symposium up here to kind of show, they wanted us to host and show kind of what we do up at our center. And we actually had multiple towns reach out to us, and they want to do something very similar. So I think we're definitely onto something a little bit unique, but also because of the rural area we live in, but also everyone's very attracted to it because it's helping the environment, and as long as there's a safe and easy way to take the materials, everyone's all about trying to keep recycling out of landfills. So the only thing we do not accept currently is hazardous waste. Chemicals, paint, pesticides, stuff like that, but we do actually accept quite a bit of stuff that would normally not, like a transfer station in the valley. I put some stuff on there that we do accept that a lot of the transfer stations in the valley don't, such as tires. We have a contact with Apache, and we can take our tires over there. Dry paint, as long as it's not wet. Batteries, car, as well as auto, Duracell, small ones. Different lights, TVs, that's a big one. We can actually take that to the landfill because they're a level 1 landfill center, and they can take more trash than like your standard stuff in the valley as well. So that gives us a little, oh, and then e-waste. We're actually in contact right now. We started taking e-waste. We just got a new vendor so we can take computers and stuff, and we're working with, the vendor that we are working with is working with Blue Ridge, and he's trying to get kids to, in the computer programs, to actually take the stuff, rework it, and repurpose it. So that's kind of a cool, and we don't charge, obviously we don't charge for that. We charge a couple bucks to take it in, and then they can do what they want. So it's kind of
Question
cool.
real quick on the light bulbs.
Yeah.
Like the long fluorescent bulbs?
Yes.
Those are pretty fragile. How do you?
So basically we are under direction of St. John's. We can take those, but because of a law, they can't come from a commercial facility. And I couldn't tell you the exact reason, but basically as long as they're coming from your household and you're a resident of the town, we can take them, no problem. If they are coming from a business or something, there's a different way that you're supposed to dispose of them.
So how do we get them to you without them breaking?
It's a good question.
That was my, yeah.
A lot of people will throw them in their car and wrap them in like something, in bubble wrap or something, and throw them in the truck. But it's tough because you have to be careful. But once we get them, we set them aside, and then there's a company that comes over for us to look at light bulbs, but because they're up here too, they're facing unique challenges getting rid of them as well. But we can send them to the landfill, but it's mostly if we get like a truckload worth or something that's worth our time to take them down there, we can take them down there, and then St. John's takes care of them.
Okay.
Sure. So one of the main reasons is so out of the 8 commodities, where does it go? We get questions about that all the time. We get people that are gung-ho that they swear we go take everything to the trash. I can assure you that's not true. Everything that we take outside of solid waste actually gets recycled. And I've got a slide or two on where we take stuff. So one of the things on our site is cardboard. It's one of the most popular things. We have tons of cardboard and paper that comes through our center. And then plastic 1, 2, and 5 as well. Very common. We probably fill that plastic can. It's a 40-yard container twice a month, and then the cardboard we fill up once a week. So it's quite a bit of plastic that's going through, and we take both of those to Vista Paper in Tempe. It's a yard in Tempe. It is obviously quite a ways from here. It's about 180 miles each way, but after we unload it there, we essentially get I'll give you the gist, but we get $60 a container for cardboard. So obviously that's not very much. Technically doesn't pay for our gas. But we, after the cardboard's unloaded there, there's a local company called United Fibers that they work with, who I used to work with too at Mesa, and they actually repurpose cardboard, corrugated cardboard, and they turn it into insulation, and then they repurpose it and sell it. Other stuff gets shipped out to California and as well, and some of it even overseas if it's really clean and there's not a lot of contamination. And the plastic, which goes to the same location, we get $30 a container. It's a little bit harder to get rid of. We send them 1, 2, and 5 numbers only, and then they essentially bail everything, call certain vendors. They use a system, a computer system, and people bid on what they have, the numbers, all that stuff, what they need. And they put them in these white bags that like the forklift can run around after they're smashed really tight, and then they separate the numbers, and then that's sold to the company. But I can assure you, I had a long conversation with the owner of this company, and there's not a single piece of plastic that makes it to the landfill from them. So everything that we take there that gets dropped off and gets sorted, and every single piece of plastic goes to a repurposed facility. As well as I actually, because I'm on the board, one of the board members that I'm with works for ASU, and they have a plastic repurposing deal at ASU's Polytech campus. And they're actually, I set them in touch with these guys, and they will be taking their number 5 plastic to repurpose it at ASU's campus for like a new like live stream of material. And they can sell the plastic, they can repurpose it in-house. They turn it into skateboards for the college kids. They turn it into trash receptacle containers around campus. And it's number 5s are like your colored lawn chairs, plastic, and different colored material, and that's why it can be resorted back into different stuff. Glass is one of the other commodities on site, and here's a video of us taking this. We take it to Strategic Materials. It's the largest glass processing plant in Phoenix. I should say in Arizona, and then it's in Phoenix. They basically take our stuff, send it through a deal, it gets sorted through by color, and then they sell that back to beverage and bottle companies to repurpose the sand into glass bottles. So that's really cool. The entire state of Arizona brings glass there. You see people from Holbrook. We drive down with some people sometimes. So they're a pretty big plant in like downtown Phoenix. Aluminum cans, another commodity that we accept on site. That goes down, we take that to American Metals in Mesa. They give us, we call every week, but it's the metal prices goes up and down, but anywhere between 40 and 59 cents a pound. Once they get that, they turn it into a cube of aluminum, and then those are also like shipped and sold out to different companies. A big purchaser though is Alcoa and Century Aluminum. They take, repurpose the aluminum, turn it into wheels. I mean, some of the truck wheels on our trucks are made from Alcoa. So like I like to think at one point maybe there was an aluminum can of ours that made one of our wheels. Scrap metal and tin cans, we actually bring those locally. We have a new deal with S&D Recycling up the road, and they're essentially the wrecking yard in Sholo. They give us essentially $40 a ton for scrap metal and tin cans. And same thing, when we dumps there, they separate the metals from different metals, porous metals, aluminum, and then they ship it pretty much all over the state, just depending on the buyer. Another commodity, which we're pretty proud of, is green waste. So we accept green waste at the center. Tree limbs, wood, logs, trees, everything. And there's a company in, essentially it's Snowflake. It's between Snowflake and Heber, and they're called Novo Biopower. And they're one of the only plants in America that essentially takes biomass power. They take wood and different grains and yard waste, and they turn it into energy. They fine it to like a mulch, burn it, and then they sell it back to SRP under contract with SRP and APS to get a certain amount of energy collected from that, because they have to purchase so much a year. And I forget what the total tonnage was, but they've been really good to us. We take stuff there all the time. Our green waste, as you guys know, when pine needle season comes, we're pretty busy with pine needles. And yeah, all that stuff goes about 43 miles from here down to BioNovo Power. Here's a picture of us dumping some of the waste, and they got a big device that's pushing it around. It's pretty wild. Solid waste, the only one that we actually take to landfill, we bring that to St. John's. So that one goes up to St. John's. When I first started, we were trying to bring some stuff local to some transfer stations that were much closer, but we kind of decided between me and Matt, we're like, we don't if we're the essential transfer station, we don't want to bring it to another transfer station. We just want it to get to the place it's going and be done. So after talking to Blue Hill, they've been really good with us, and they've actually they've cut our bill in half to help us with the funding and where it's at and everything, and they're open 24 hours. They've just been really great with solid waste drop-off for us. So here's some metrics that we put together. Basically, the biggest part, the takeaway from this is the collection center collected a total of 13,663 and 0.23 tons of material for the year of 23, so from June to July 23. And of that total, 567 tons was diverted from the landfill and recycled and repurposed. So we're pretty proud of that number. We think that's, we think the more people that see our center, we've definitely been getting a lot of people coming back saying, hey, that's great. Like the city of Kingman hit us up and they're like, hey, we'd love to do it. We had somebody in Buckeye talk to us as well. So we've been having a lot of, the more people that find out about what we do up here, they really like how we have a center, how it's set up, how the town uses it and all that stuff. So they're pretty excited about working with us to maybe either help show them how we're doing it and maybe even help them to show where we're taking things and how much stuff costs. And then here's some tonnage reports, just same kind of thing, showing where we, how many tons for the last 3 years we've diverted and where it's going. So yeah, we appreciate everyone that comes there. We know it's kind of when you get there, it's a unique process, and we're excited the town is so supportive of what we do there. And I think that overall we get super positive reviews. Everyone that uses is like, wow, that like City of Tucson needs this, or City of Phoenix. So we enjoy that we're kind of on the forefront of what we're doing. But yeah, so thank you guys.
I would just like to comment, I was at that Circular Arizona meeting up here a couple months ago at the park, and everybody that was here was so impressed with what's going on here, with Matt's vision to get it started, really, and then all the work Damien's doing. I don't remember where all those folks were from, but it seems like somebody was from Kingman, or they were from a long distance, and they came up here and toured it, and so thank you for everything that you're doing, and Matt as well. So.
Yeah, that's, I just say, the citizens that they love it. You know, they're so proud that we have a place to take recycled. A lot of places don't, and they have to just throw it away and put it in the trash. And it's a really good feel kind of a operation, because a lot of people feel really good about recycling. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Craigbaum?
I would like to also say that the two guys that I run into all the time there, David and Ken, are just so wonderful. I mean, thoughtful and delightful people. Cool. So, excellent.
They're very helpful, too. I've had some stuff that I couldn't hardly get out, you know. Let me take care of that for you.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, no, we appreciate you guys coming, and I think it is. It's very it's rewarding, but it's also it's helpful and it's rewarding, which is hard to once you get the two of those, it makes it a lot easier to work there. So yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate your efforts on this.
No problem.
Thank you.
Guys.
Okay, item D8 is consideration of resolution number 24-1737, approving the street name of Crow Hollow Lane for a private drive within the town of Pinetop-Lakeside limits. Matt.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Per our new town codes, we have to, anything that's over a certain distance has to, or have more than 3 homes, I do believe, or 2 homes, I do believe, have to have a named road. The reason for that is so that 911 responders can find them. We've learned over the years that becomes a real struggle, even on the small roads. They tend to bounce around and they're not really in the right locations if you address them off of an existing road. So we've made a valiant effort at making sure that these roads get named and we get them 911 addressing correct. So on this one, when you go to the recommended motion, there is missing a 28 dash in the last parcel number. So.
Okay, any questions for Matt? And this is over in downtown Lakeside?
Yeah, it's actually this community right behind us, if I remember right.
Okay. Okay, are there any questions, comments? Councilor Heisler, do you have anything?
I do not.
I was just hoping you were still there. Just checking on you. Counselor Smith?
I move to approve resolution number 24-1737, adopting a new street name, Crow Hollow Lane, for the purpose of assigning an E911 address for parcel numbers 212-28-039C, 212-28-039D, and 212-039E within the town of Pinetop-Lakeside town limits.
That would be 212-28-039E. Is that okay?
Yeah, the last one has a 28 in it.
Oh, yeah, it's not correct, is it?
That's okay.
It would be 212-28-039D.
Okay, thank you.
Make that correction.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve this resolution. Is there further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Counselor Heisler?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries unanimously. We're going to move on then to item D8, which is consideration of resolution number 24-1738, approving a general easement agreement between the town of Pinetop-Lakeside and Richard Saracini for drainage ditch maintenance associated with O'Malley Lane. Matt.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In 2019, as we're all aware, we had the flood that caused major damage along O'Malley and the top of the woods and Heart Lake Lane. Over the years, through that actual flood event, we came to the knowledge that we actually didn't own the drainage ditch along O'Malley. And so over the years, I've worked with the homeowners that are willing to give up the property for us to have an easement so that we can maintain it for them. During this last event was a 50-year event, I think is what we determined in that area. 200-year? I thought it was 50 in that area.
I don't remember.
It kind of bounced around all over town. There was some parts of Pinetop that was 200-year, and then there was a 50. I thought there was a 50-year down there. Well, anyways, in that event, it went over again in one area that had a lot of cattails and stuff holding up the drainage easement. And this was Mr. Richard, and he came to me and asked me if there was anything we could do. So I told him we'd happily take it over and start maintaining it. We have given this offer to everybody along there, and only 3 so far have come to us and give us the easement that we need to maintain it. So we only maintain those 3 parcels through there. I'm hoping through time and seeing us maintain it that the other parcels will come along. But I do not believe this is something we need to go after and purchase. If they would like us to take over the maintenance, then that's their responsibility to hand it to us. We're not going to hunt that down through this process. So normally in other processes, we would have paid them for the land and done all that, but not on this one. So.
Thank you, Matt. I guess something good came from that big rain.
Yeah.
As always, you're watching out for our pennies.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough situation. It was pre-existing, so it makes it hard for us to purchase something that's already existing, and it's their responsibility. So we're taking on responsibility, so I don't feel like there's a need for the town or the public to have to pay for something that we're taking on more responsibility. It does allow drainage for a big section of town, the top of the woods, Heart Lake, all of that comes through there, but it historically came through there. So it's not like we changed anything or there was anything that we did to create that issue there. So.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments for Matt? Okay. Councilor Smith?
I move to adopt resolution number 24-1738, approving a general easement agreement between the town of Pinetop-Lakeside and Richard Saracini for drainage ditch maintenance associated with O'Malley Lane, and authorize town manager Keith Johnson to execute all documents necessary to complete the agreement.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Counselor Heisler?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries unanimously. Thank you, Matt. We appreciate it. Item D10 is pursuant to ARS Section 38-43103A7. The council may vote to enter into an executive session. A is upon a majority vote of the members constituting a quorum, a public body may hold an executive session for the following purpose. 7, discussion or consultation with designated representatives of the public body in order to consider its position and instruct its representatives regarding negotiation for the purchase, sale, or lease of real property. The item is discussion regarding possible purchase of real property. I would entertain a motion.
I move that we move into executive session.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Counselor Heisler?
Aye.
Thank you. For the benefit of the public, no action will be taken during executive session, and we will just come out and adjourn the meeting. So you're welcome to stay, but that's basically all the business before us tonight.